Well, welcome everybody. We are really excited that you have joined us tonight for our Tuesday night business training. And just one quick thing from head office as a reminder, the Ruby Boot Camp, which is a 6-week program, is now completed, but all of the recordings are in Homebase. So you can go back and listen to them, and it's really worthwhile whether you're a new promoter or whether you've been around for a while, just to get some updated information and just to keep learning, because we always want to keep growing with our business. So that's the only thing that I want to share about. So we are so fortunate tonight that we have Maryellen is going to be sharing tonight on customer retention. And it'll be 30 years that Maryellen has been with Neolife in November. And she's also does a lot of our talks on the Thursday night because she's a trained holistic nutritionist. And we're just so excited to have her here sharing her knowledge and her information as she's been growing her business over the years. So just a reminder to keep your questions to the end. We will not be using the chat during the presentation, but definitely at the end during the Q&A, you can either raise your hand to ask your question or put it in the chat. But for now, I'm just going to turn it over to Maryellen so we can sit back and listen and learn.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Shelley. And for those of you who don't know me, I was introduced to Neolife over 30 years ago, and I got involved because my son had respiratory issues, and I was looking for something to boost his immunity. And we had dinner at a coworker's, and I couldn't believe how great she looked. And I asked her what she was doing that was different, and that's when she told me about Neolife. And at the time, that was my main focus, like my son's health. But once he started feeling better and I got rid of my migraines, I got really excited. And everyone who knew us started asking what we were doing. And one thing I want to clarify, although right now I'm a holistic nutritionist, when I started in Neolife, I was a law clerk, right? I didn't know anything about nutrition, but the great thing is Neolife has such wonderful training with the scientists and all the research and the tools that we have. You don't have to be a holistic nutritionist to build this business at all. And and the only reason I did that was because once I got started, like the reason I started sharing with others was, number one, I was super excited, but also, we had some credit card debt, we had 2 boys that we wanted to travel with, and we didn't have that extra money to do that. And when I started building the business, I was able to start banking some of that money. And we actually took our kids to an amazing trip through Europe for 3 weeks to Holland, Belgium, Germany, and in France. And it was a real highlight for them. And this is what I started to see once I started building the business. And then eventually I was able to build it up till I replaced my income at the law firm and quit my job. And that's when I went back to school because I had a passion for nutrition to become a nutritionist. And sometimes that complicates it because people say to me, well, I can't do what you're doing because I'm not a nutritionist. And that's not what this business is about. There's so much support, and you have the support of all your team and everyone around you. So this is what makes it very exciting. But one thing I'm going to focus on tonight is one of my favorite topics, and that's customer retention. Because I get so many people when they get started, they say, I don't want to bug people. I don't want to bother them. But when you have that mindset, you're not doing them a favor. Because I remember one of the things that impressed me so much when I got started in Neolife was the fact after I ordered the product and received it, Nana called me up and said, hey, how are you doing? Do you have any questions? Right? And I was impressed because when you go to a store, a health food store, nobody calls you up and says, hey, are you having problems with the product, or is it working for you? And not only that, she was able to upgrade us to other things because I started sharing other things with her. And this is how we upgrade our clients, which is so, so important. So I just want you to kind of think, as I look at it, is I'm adding value to people. And my customers are, they're not all my best friends. Of course, you can't have everyone as a best friend, but I have a relationship with all of them. And when you add value and make people feel important, it adds so much. So, oops, my shares, my screen's not advancing. Oops, maybe I'll stop the share and try it again. So here we go. Share screen. Okay, oops. Sorry about that. Of course, it's gonna jam. There we go. See if it works now. It's not even doing that ledger. There we go. Well, if I can't do it, I'll just do it from the individual slides.
Do you see it says resume slideshow there, Maryellen? Yeah, right there.
Yep.
Can you do
Okay.
that? And go, there you go.
Oh, there it goes. So as we know, follow-up is one of the most important things that we can actually do for our business. Because I always feel it's easier to keep a customer than to find a customer. Because when you get a new customer, you gotta inform, educate them, you've got to build a relationship. But if you already have that, you don't want to lose it. Because when we work hard to find somebody, we don't want to neglect them and lose them, because retention is definitely the key. So if you're not keeping your customers or promoters, you do have to make some changes and and hopefully you'll pick up some ideas tonight of ways to do that. And just to let you know, not everyone is going to come back every single month. Sometimes people drop off for a few years and come back. That happens, and it's nothing to do with what we're doing. It's all to do with them. It's timing with them. And my sort of philosophy is people don't care how much you know. Like, you can know everything until they know how much you care. So you have to make people feel important. It's really, really important. For some reason, it advanced. I don't know why.
I have to click the arrow on the middle of the screen, Maryellen, when I do mine. For some reason, I've noticed that. And then you can advance.
Yeah. Okay. I think if I just use the cursor. So the key is to use some sort of a follow-up system. It doesn't matter what system you use, but make sure it works for you. For me, I like using my phone. I find, because you always have your phone with you. So what I do is I have people's names in, and I have them on monthly repeat. And then that way their name pops up every single month. But you can use a computer system, you can use cards. Doesn't matter what system you use, but you have to have some sort of system where you're contacting people all the time. And when you're talking to potential customers or distributors, there's a few things to keep in mind. So whether you're meeting people for the first time or following up, getting back to people on time. So if you promise them that you're going to call them a certain day, it's really, really important to do that. And the key is to listen more and talk less, because that shows that you care. And we have a tendency, especially in Neolife, we want to tell people everything, right? But we want people start on a basic program and get them comfortable with that, and then we can actually move them up from there. So how soon do you follow up with someone you sign up and order product? Well, if they've registered as a club member or promoter and the product they're ordering, like most of the time now, products are shipped. That's most of the time how we do it. So it's a good idea to follow up when the order's been received. And so you kind of have an idea of when the order should be received. So call them then too, to make sure that the order's not lost, something's happened, and they've got it. And you want to make sure they receive their product, that nothing's missing, and they understand how to take the products, because that's important. Because even though you told them when you had the initial, they forgot, they don't remember. And remind them especially to take the products with food and not on an empty stomach. If it's aloe or acidophilus or tray, even remind them to keep the product in the fridge, because they don't know that. The writing is small on the back of the bottle, so they won't remember. If by chance you do give them the products at the time of the order, like when you meet with them, then just call the next day to make sure all is okay. And again, remind them to take Pro Vitality with food. Very, very important. So following up every month with your customers is critical, especially in the beginning. And if they're on something like a Shape Up pack, you want to be contacting them daily, because you want to make sure that they're remember to eat 5 times a day, to do the mini meal list. Even if they're not hungry, you go over the foods to avoid and enjoy. So you want to do a little bit of like educating with them. And it's the same with the detox too. The importance of waters for both of these programs. And for the detox, I kind of like to send people ahead of time, the website, the 3-day detox, invite them to a Facebook group, and send them some tips, because that gives them more ammunition for success, right? And So as we talked about, it's important to follow up because it's the lifeblood of our business, right? This is our foundation where we get our monthly PVs. And this is where you build trust and rapport with your customers. And you want to make sure they don't feel that they're just another sale, because if they feel that, then they're not going to be comfortable with you. So when you do make your calls, make sure they're short, right? If you keep people on the phone too long, what happens? The next time that you call them, they'll see it on the call display and they won't answer because they go, oh, I don't have half an hour to talk to Maryellen, right? And they won't answer the phone at all. And you can also follow up by text or messenger or email. I like to ask people what method they prefer and add value to them. And sometimes with my regular customers, I do more email because I'll just contact them, or I'll just send them a quick message. I don't even always ask them about Neil Life. Sometimes I just call them up and say, hey, how you doing? I can't believe it's September, time is flying by, and just to kind of connect with them, because that's really important. And I know when we were going through COVID, I was touching base with a lot of people, and with the first month or two, I didn't get any response at all, because I think, like people were and then after a while, people started responding back. So don't give up if you don't hear right away. It's important. And if you're really busy and don't know when you can make your calls, just schedule a power hour or 3 10-minute sessions. Whenever, I remember when I was super busy, I'd like be taking my son to like football or something. I'd be sitting in the parking lot. I had 10 minutes and I'd be making phone calls. So anytime you get a chance, use it. And this is just a call to make sure people are happy. And keep notes of your conversation. So for example, if someone tells you, oh, I'm going on a cruise next month, I'm really excited. Well, the next time you call them, you want to ask them, how was your cruise? And this really makes them feel really good, because the fact that you're taking interest in them. So here's some examples of an initial call. So I'm just using an example of Susan and myself. So, Susan, hi, Maryellen, this is Susan. Do you have a few minutes to talk? And I say, yeah, I have a couple minutes. So what have I done here first? I've made sure this is a good time for them, because the worst thing you can do is call them up and start going on, and they're like, I have to go. So you want to make sure they're okay. So ask them how they're doing. I'm doing great. And sometimes at this point, they'll even tell you stuff like, oh, I've had a cold, or my kids are sick, or whatever. But this is the thing. So I'm just following up with you to see how you're doing with your Pro Vitality Pack. I know you've gotten started, but I want to know if you have any questions. I took the pack, it upset my stomach, so I haven't touched it since. And sometimes they'll tell you this, right? And then Susan, oh, I'm so glad I called you, Maryellen. Did you take the pack with food? No, I didn't have time to eat breakfast, so I took it on an empty stomach, which happens all the time. Oh, now, no wonder you had problems. I totally understand why you felt bad. Be sure to take the Pro Vitality with your meal. In fact, why don't you start with dinner tonight? And sometimes I even tell people to split up the pack at the beginning, because they're not used to these nutrients, right? This will make a huge difference. And it's okay with you, can I call you in a couple days and see how you're doing now, right? And then, sure, that sounds fine. So that kind of gives you, that whole conversation took what, 2 minutes, right? So it's fast. So here's another example. This is me. Hi, Susan, how are you doing? Oh, I'm doing great. In fact, I'm taking my Pro Vitality and I feel great. I don't know if it's all in my head, but I actually think I have a little more energy. Oh, that's excellent. It's funny that you say that, because everyone says the same thing to me about thinking it's in their head. The longer you take the product, you will definitely feel better. By the way, did you tell anyone how great you are feeling? Oh, yes, as a matter of fact, I was telling my sister, and she's interested in finding out more. Wow, that's great. Let's set up an appointment next week where I can meet with your sister, or a 3-week call, or whatever you want to do. In fact, next week I have Tuesday or Thursday free, if that works for you both. Oh, okay. I'll check with her and let you know. So I look forward to hearing back from you. If you can let me know as soon as you can, I appreciate it, as I'm booking up fast. Susan, sounds good. I'll call you tomorrow. So what have I done here? Now I've got a referral, right? Because I've asked her, have you told anyone how great you're feeling, or is anyone saying how good you look, or whatever? And so that's a way to get another person on the call. And here's an example if people are busy. So it says, hi, Susan, this is Maryellen. Do you have a few minutes to talk? How are you doing? Oh, sorry, Maryellen, I'm running out with the kids. So I asked them, what's a good time to call back? Tomorrow after 7 would work best. Great, I'll call you then. And then you make sure that you do phone back. It's super, super important. So this is a good monthly follow-up call or text or whatever. Do you have a few minutes to call, to talk? Again, you want to check with them. oh, things are okay, but my kids have been so sick. You can say, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I was giving you a call to see how you're doing with Pro Vitality now that you've been on in a month, but I don't know if you're aware, we have an amazing children's program that keeps your kids healthy. Oh, I'm feeling really great. And I'd be interested in hearing more about the kids' products. So you can say we have a children's Pro Vitality program that consists of VitaScores and VitaGuard that fill the gaps for the kids' diet. So I keep it super simple. I don't get into what's in it or anything. I just tell them, oh, I'd like to get the kids started right away. Great. I can ship the VitaScores and VitaGuard with your Pro Vitality and your Neo ship this month. Great. Thanks for calling. And then often at that time, I'll follow up with a text or an email with more information on how to take the children's programs, maybe fast facts, depends how much information they want. But this is how you upgrade them to the next product because, and if, like you can let them know if they're saying something about their skin or their, whatever it is, it's a way to give them more information and try and get them on some more products if they have the need, right? Because it's all about them, right? And a key is to always talk benefits, right? Because, for instance, like, with the tray, it's like 7 times the antioxidant power of ripe red tomatoes, which protects your cells. They want to know what it does for you. Gives you energy, makes you feel good. You want to keep it super simple. Like they say always used to be like fourth grade language, right? You want to keep it simple. And if they ask you questions, answer what you can. But if you don't know, that's okay. You can just say, I'll get back to you with the answers. Like when I didn't know at the beginning, I used to call Nana and say, hey, so-and-so's asking me this, what do I do? And then you can just get back to them. And when you mention to customers and promoters that you follow up in 2 days with more information, it's important, again, that you do it because if you don't, you'll lose their trust. They think you don't care about them. So super, super important to make sure. And some of the things that you can ask them is if they'd like to be invited to the Neo Life Healthy Living Facebook group. I like to share information and testimonials. A lot of the Thursday calls, if people aren't on the calls, I'll actually send them the recording, and a lot of people watch it, from there. You can invite them to discover more in other upcoming events. So, and sometimes too, I just share things like recipes or information or anything to kind of keep in touch with them, and so that really helps. And another good way to sort of have a good excuse to call someone, because I remember Chuck Shelton used to always say, when you call someone, you want to have a reason to do it, right? So if you notice that they have a lot of loyalty points and they haven't been using them, this is a great thing. Say, hey, I don't know if I had one girl, she had $250 worth of free loyalty points. And when she found out she could get all that product for free, she was thrilled, right? And you will get some people who don't want to use their points. First, I don't have no idea why, but anyways, that's okay. You let them go. But the ones who want it, they really like this. Like, and it gets them trying new products, and it's just a great way to do things. And another thing to kind of keep an eye on, especially if people are promoters or whatever, is to watch at the end of the month where their volume is. Like if they're at, let's say, 470 points, even if they're really only a customer, you can let them know, say, hey, you know what, if you order one more thing, you can get to the 500 point level and you can get a little bit of a rebate back on your products. People like that as well. But what they don't like is when you wait till the last day of the month because you need to increase your volume and you phone people up just to bug them, because you're just like, because you know that you need the volume. So what I try to do is do it throughout the month so that people are, feeling that I'm not just doing it because they know. Because I remember even my daughter-in-law, she was saying to me, not with Neolife, but with a couple other direct selling companies, she says, I only hear from these people at the end of the month because they need to get more money for their things. So that's a turnoff, right? So you have to do it in a way that you're doing it for them because we have to remember it's definitely all about them. So in conclusion, what are some of the keys? Just being consistent. Like, even if you're calling and you don't feel that you're breaking through, the drips do get through eventually, especially if you're doing it in good faith. And don't get discouraged. Sometimes people will drop off, but if you keep in touch with them, sometimes they'll come back too. And that's what makes it exciting. In fact, I had someone call me the other day. I think I hadn't heard from in 10 years. So you never know, right? And you don't have to be perfect. Like I know at the beginning, I said a lot of things wrong, but the more you do it, the better you'll get at saying it and just have fun. So that's basically all. So anyways, if you guys want, I can answer any questions or if you have any other, concerns.
Thank you so much, Maryellen. That was a lot of really great information and a lot of tips. I'm sure that there's going to be a few questions, so hands up or in the chat, whatever works for people. I know you're always very thorough, so people don't necessarily have questions, but maybe they'll think of something.
And sorry, I speak really quickly too, so.
And Maryellen, I think it's a good habit for the newer promoters to start, and because if you wait till it's too late, you can get overwhelmed with all the people that you've forgotten and you go back. So if you start now and you get a little system going, then it's a good habit. Like it's a natural thing that you do, so you don't feel so overwhelmed. So that's maybe just a little tip for me, because I know sometimes I get really busy and I get behind and I have to go back. I think, oh, and now that I have a system where I'm really connected with a couple of times a week, I'll do the 2 10-minute windows, and then sometimes I'll do an hour. And I was like you, Maryellen, when my kids were younger, I was in the car while they were at the basketball practice or football field, or I'd literally be in my office. At my car was my second office. So if you don't have, because some people that are working full time too, I know sometimes I get that from people saying, "Oh, I don't know how you do it," or how did you do it when you were, when you're working, and you just find 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. So even if you're working full time, it can be done.
Yeah, that's for sure. And just have fun with it, and you have to remember too, it's all about them. If they're at a stage they're not ready or whatever, that's okay, because they'll, when they are ready, they'll come around, right? But yeah, people like it when you call, because I mean, especially these days, customer service is not very good. So if you make people feel really important, they'll appreciate it.
And you mentioned about the reminder on your phone that you do it so that the same name kind of pops up once a month. And that would be somebody who has been using the products for a while versus somebody who you just started. What would be the difference that you would do, Maryellen?
Yeah, the monthly one would be someone who's an established customer. And if it's a new person, what I do is I put them in like to a reminder for when they'll be receiving their product. And then for a week later, once they've used it, and then a monthly. So you kind of graduate in. And if they're having a few issues, then you call them, like, or if they're on the Shape Up pack or a detox or something, you want to keep in touch with them, more on a daily basis, maybe for the first week or so, even just a quick call. Hey, is everything okay? Or a text, any questions, because sometimes people don't do the detox right, or they don't do the weight management program right. So you want them to get success. And if you don't guide them and hold their hand, they won't get the success that they want.
And I really think one of the key things is getting a system for follow-ups that works for you, not necessarily what people are suggesting. It has to work for you, because I know when we started, we had the sheets of paper and we would write them down, and then we had full binders, right? And then I know all of us, and I'm sure there's others, some people might have kept those, but we've all switched over to trying to do it on the computer or on our phones. And actually, I was just having a call because my computer would break down or something would happen. And now I'm thinking, okay, do you know what? I think I might go back to something that's a little bit more with the little recipe card, so I can actually write it and pull it out, just because, I'm feeling that it's just not flowing the way that it should be before other technology comes out for us. So you found that transition from the paper over to the phone working quite well for you.
Well, especially with me traveling and stuff, I don't want to carry those, because my binder was huge because I had so many people, right? So I find the phone works, and then in the person's name, that's where I put the notes. So let's say I have a follow-up to call Susan on the 15th, right? So I'll call her or text her or whatever, and then if something comes up, I'll put it in the notes on her actual name, and I'll put, let's say she added the tray to her order, or whatever it was, so that I can remember the next time I call what it is. So that's where I kind of put the detail, but in the phone, I just have the name. So some days I'll pop up and I'll have 25 names pop up, right? So and then what I do is I have one of those, like, their steno pads, and one side is do and one side is call. So for the daily calls, I write out their name, and as I do it, I check it off so that I don't forget. So I find that kind of works for me. But because I'm a bit of a visual person too, so I like to and see the names. But to remember, it's all in here. So it's all like every day has a, like, see, if you look today, you'll see I have all, I don't know if you can see it, but I'll have all my names come up and whatever else that I have to do for the day.
I like that, Maryellen, what you said about like the steno pad and actually writing the names, because I use my phone pretty much now always too, but I like that because I am visual as well. But just having it, you have a steno pad that's just dedicated to writing down those daily names and ticking them off, and
Yes.
instead of because I have like kind of everything I'm doing one, so I like that separate. That's a good idea.
Yeah, and then on the one side too, if there's things I need to do, I'll do the do. I think that we got that from Lance, right? I think he's the one who started that. So on the one side, I got the name. So, and then too, if I miss somebody, because I have their name, like, I kind of do a week at a time, sort of the names, and then I can go back and say, oh look, I missed so and so if I've got extra time, and then I can pick them up in case I miss them, right, a couple of days later or something, because sometimes you don't get to them all depending how many you have, right?
And Maryellen, would you you mentioned about like monthly, so like your established members that are always on Neoship, do you call them every month?
I don't always call them. Sometimes I'll text them. Sometimes I'll email them. Sometimes I send them a recording, or I try to touch them somehow. I don't call everybody because a lot of people now just don't have time for phone calls.
Yeah.
But I do a lot of texting and messenger and email. So I think I do more of that than the calls. But I have some customers who just like to have a phone call. Like, so it depends, right?
And
That's
it's
right.
almost,
There's
it's
ways
almost
of different ways.
impossible. Yeah, it's almost impossible, I think, to call, like, once you get like, hundreds of people in your list, to call everybody every month. And Cindy, you're at that stage where you have, how many years of people. And what I find is what I'm doing, like, even if it's every 3 or 4 months, but I do drip on them. And that's where where you said, Maryellen, the dripping on them, meaning I always ask my new members, hey, are you okay to receive weekly emails on invites on the different health talks we do every Thursday? You don't have to come on. I don't want you to feel obligated, but there might be a topic that you might be interested in. And they say, yeah, no, please. And I said, just remember, if you want to hop on, that's great. If you find you have a friend that's struggling, in that area, then just send them the link and we can take care of them. So they're still getting a weekly message, so they know that I'm still active in the business. So that's what I ask all my members, that, hey, are you open to receiving that? And I even say the Tuesday health talks, the basic introduction, and the Thursday night. And most of them say, yeah. And then sometimes they surprise me and they come on, or they refer somebody. So that's another way that just if you ask them, you make sure you ask permission for them to be added to your group list.
Yeah. And that's been exactly what I've been doing for years, just because at least you're touching them, right? And they do surprise you every now and then.
And inviting with the Facebook invite too is good sometimes. I find people look at that sometimes more even than an email.
I think the big thing is ask yourself, how can I add value to my customers? What can I send? Is it an invite? Is it, something that Neolife is putting out in terms of a video, or you had mentioned the recipe there, Maryellen, like something that will add value so that you're connecting with them and building that relationship. Any other questions?
Sorry, one more thing is testimonials. We used to get more people sending in written testimonials, and I used to send them out even once a month. And I think we're forgetting that piece, that we need to start getting people. We're hearing these testimonials and they're putting them in the Neolife Healthy Living community, which is great. But I think having a file, because sometimes you guys will text me, hey, do you have a testimonial on Jack's brain injury? And I've got it. And boom, I just fire off and I send it to you guys, right? So I think it's important that let's try to get into the habit of getting these in writing so we can save them, so we have them available for you guys when you reach out to us. Because I know, Maryellen, your migraine testimonial, I send that out like a lot. People are always asking, do you have any testimonials? Do you have any stories? Because not everybody always wants to go on the Facebook group. If they see something in writing and you're specifically sending it to them, I think that's something that's important. So that's also another way that you can. So I used to do email blasts. If somebody sends me a testimonial, I just say, guys, I have some great news to share. I just got this from, from so-and-so. I just wanted to share this with you. Boom. And away it goes. Right.
Yep. People like the testimonials.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be careful with the health claim thing that we're, yeah.
I have to say, I was talking to this guy. He signed up at the show on the weekend and on last week, and I just called and said, hey, did you receive it? Go, yeah, I got it. And I said, okay. So I was going to tell him how to take it. He goes, I already took it. So he was so happy. That's the one guy we signed up, and he goes, okay. And then I told him about the call. He goes, okay, I'm going to get on the call. So he's excited to get on the call tonight. So, like you say, when you follow up, sometimes you just get them at that right time when they're so enthusiastic and they want to learn more. So it was a good timing, right? So
and it's important, like you did, to invite them to learn more. That's a really good tool. Yeah.
Yeah. So he'll be coming on. So anyway, yeah, thought I'd just add that in.
Oh, I
Yes, Heather.
think Heather, or
We're still recording.
Yeah, there's something else that I like to follow up with. When we see the new free products list that comes out, I'll review that. And then when I'm calling people, I'll check to see their product history. What are they ordering? And I've actually discovered some people who may not even be on the Pro Vitality, but they're ordering products that routinely come up in the free products. So I'll tell them how they can, get those products for free and have the benefit of the Pro Vitality and still add to their loyalty points. So that free product list, I think, is really, really great, and that we can see what people have been ordering.
That's a really good point, Heather. Thank you. Anything else? Well, thank you so much for jumping on here tonight. Lots of great information from Maryellen, and we really enjoy putting these trainings together. And next week we're back to starting off with the vision, but we're going to be doing it in a different way. So come on and learn about that. It's tweaked now that we've kind of gone through a cycle of some of the different talks that we've had from everybody. And we're also going to be asking on the Sunday night calls if there's anything else that you want us to target in terms of some training. So give that some thought, and we can share that when Nada does the team call on the Sunday night, and we'll start gathering some people and some names who want to share their information or their knowledge in that topic. So thank you so much for coming on, and we will see you. There's another call, the Discover More, after this at 8 o'clock, and then the US one's at 9, and then weight management and weight loss on Thursday, and then we'll see you again next Tuesday.
Good night,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Good night, everybody.
Great
Thanks.
job, Maryellen.
Great job, guys. Thank you.
Everyone.
Thanks, Maryellen.
See you soon.
Did you stop the recording, Nada?
Yeah, it's